When Trump won the first time,
Mhm.
the sense outside was, okay, maybe post Barack Obama, a lot of Americans started feeling that he got left behind, and this is the pushback of middle America. What does it mean about America, in your view, if Trump were to win again, or at least, be on the ticket and make it a real tough election?
Look, I think Trump is an unusual candidate. He was the first American president who defeated two parties to win the presidency. Everyone normally fights from a party. He defeated the Republicans first, then he defeated the Democrats, and then he became president. So Trump is a cult by himself, and we have to understand that in a presidential form of government, we were always worried that we might have a runaway individual, and Trump is precisely that. So I think Trump represents a break from America's rather stable recent history of more than 100 years, where you have not witnessed a runaway train, such as what Donald Trump represents. Now, what does he fight on? He fights on exactly the same vulnerabilities and anxieties of people that folks around the world fight on. Now, what is that? It is not how you are doing. It is how someone else is doing, and are you doing worse off? And I think he fights on one, the comparative inequality in society, and not the overall lifting up of the economic situation of individuals, right? So and he uses technology and digital media and of course imagery and typologies of the past to reinforce the point. Migrant is the problem if you're not doing well. Migration is the problem if you're not doing well. Communities, certain specific communities, are the reason why you are in the state you are in. He is using a 20th century playbook in 21st century grammar, vocabulary, and technology. There is nothing new about his campaign. What has changed is exactly what Ravi mentioned. The public sphere in America had ignored the half of America for the longest time. When things were going well, at the peak of Pax Americana, it was basically 25% of American elites who represented the Pax Americana. 75% were excluded from the press, were excluded from financial institutions, were excluded from economic mainstream programs. They were generally growing at a different speed, living in a different reality, and facing daily situations which were remarkably different to those in the coasts, West Coast and East Coast. America had a problem. America had a serious problem. It had a structural problem which has created a constituency that believes that it has no relationship whatsoever with what the Democratic Party today represents. Right? Guess what? In the most recent times, and this is the point Ravi was making, in the most recent times, there's a breach in the Democratic Party itself. Now, you have the centrist of old, the Clintonians, and perhaps I would argue even the Biden format of governance, what he has shown in his first term, who are more center-left and who look at American force for the world being a force for good, who are internationalists by definition, who seek to do good as they assess it. I'm not saying they always end up doing it, but as they assess it. But they are generally folks who are what we would call the centrists, right? Now, there's a breach in the Democratic Party. There are progressives who are sometimes as ridiculous as the Trumpians. The extreme left of the Democratic Party and the right in American politics are both seemingly unrelatable to people who are sitting in different parts of the world, right? And those folks are perhaps the weakest link in Biden's re-election bid. Will they go out and vote for him? Because for him, Ukraine was peak American internationalism, and intervening for Israel and against Hamas is a failure of America. The same group, the same chunk which was celebrating intervention in Ukraine is the one that is bemoaning American intervention in the Middle East. How do they behave will decide what, because please understand, Trump starts with a 2% disadvantage. That is the way America is structured. Republicans don't have the numbers. If all Democrat folks come out and vote, it is very difficult to defeat the Democrats. The question is, will they come out and vote for Biden after breach of trust, as they see has happened in the Middle East?